every individual to leverage the magical arts of positive motivation and manipulation. Have you been looking forward to lesson 6 as much as I have? I'm a driver analytic personality. So this is kind of, the think is more analytic and maybe amiable. The do tends to be more expressive and driver personality. So I love the do. Sometimes I might not ask as many questions as I should. Sometimes I might not listen as well as I should. Sometimes I move to the do too fast and don't see. Sometimes I'm not thinking as much. I jump into do. So the do is so much fun in being it for me because it helps to accomplish so much success. And so, Tom, Peter, before we dive into this lesson, any thoughts that you guys have as it relates to this lesson or any of the previous lessons?
I don't have any at this point.
Peter, anything you got?
No, I don't have any questions either.
All right, so when we look at all of these things, question, listen, see, think, solutions, and do. And so whatever we're seeking to gain leverage on, if it's in our business to increase our sales, or profit, or if it's in a relationship to gain mutual benefit for everyone, we often all tend to jump to the do or jump right into the presentation of a solution without going through the question, the listen, the see, the think. And so if we're failing and not accomplishing what we want to accomplish in leverage, first question is, are we clear on what we want to accomplish in leverage? So we work real hard to emphasize that at the beginning of the course, but it's amazing on how people still are not clear, or maybe it changes, which is okay, in being able to go through it and understand it. So we're wrapping this up. It's this lesson and the next lesson, and then who knows, maybe there'll be an encore, maybe there'll be some bonus lessons. So if we do not ask the right questions, and if we do not listen, see, and think, we will not gain the leverage which gives us additional capability to position us to present insight, which is insight selling. So you have product and service selling. I give you a product, I give you a product, you give me money, we exchange, that's product or service selling. And then you have relationship selling, maybe buying from me not because I have the best product, but because we have a relationship. And then you have consultative selling, which is where we go in, I come in from a consulting perspective, but the highest that I found is insight selling. And you're doing insight selling when somebody says, wow, that's a great question. That starts off. And then when you say, so is there any other questions you have? Any other information that I should have known that I don't know? And they say no. And you say, so what would you like my next step to be? And they say, what's the next step? What do I need to do? So insight selling empowers us. It's because we've leveraged all of the questions, all the information, all the data, in being able to go through it. And so it's really looking at the internalization. We've got the client, we've got the employee, we've got the employer, we've got the vendor, we've got the spouse, we've got the children, we've got the friends. We've got them to be able to internalize it. When somebody internalizes it, then they automatically move to the do. So if we do not internalize the 7 T's, time, talent, treasure, trust, truth, temple, and thought, for those individuals we are connecting with, then we won't question, listen, see, and think in the most effective way. And when we present the solution, they won't buy in. If people do not buy into the solution we present, people will not do what causes us, them, and others around us will lose leverage. This is a fairly complex, it seems to me simple, but I understand, Tom and Peter, that some that are listening, especially if maybe they didn't pay attention as much to the first 5 lessons, they're getting into the deep end here. Can you guys clarify this maybe better than I have presented it? Peter, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't know. It makes perfect sense to me, so I'm not sure how much more I can clarify it in less words.
Okay.
I mean, until you find that common ground where you're adding value that everybody sees, then everybody will not do. So, I think you summarized it well. The buy-in.
Tom, thoughts you have?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. A couple of things. I would actually just wrote a note to myself. I put down the question, listen, see, think, do, or solutions, and then do. And to me, these are the 6 functions to getting to outcome. And if I logically sit down and think of any situation that I've been involved in where either personally myself or in working with somebody else, and I go through these 6 items, it's amazing how it just happens.
Right?
It does. I mean, to me, this is really the functions that get you to outcome, whatever that is. These 6 functions get you to the outcome.
Yeah. And that's where, at the beginning of the course, it's like you want everybody on your team to go through this. It doesn't matter if it's the president of a worldwide company, they will learn from it, or if it's a part-time high school student that's doing an internship, they should go through this course because both of them can bring value to one another and they'll internalize it, they'll see it in a different way. So it really is, how do we get a mutually beneficial outcome to where we all walk away with in creating a win-win situation? So let's drill in. And so why does each of the 4 personalities, why do they do? Why do they take action? There's a science behind it. So the analytic personality, it makes sense to them, and they'll do things because they have detail. And so the analytic frequency will do because it makes sense to them. They understand the steps. They feel confident that it will work and will not damage their ego. Now that might seem a little bit harsh, but the analytic has a lot of ego. They like to be right. That's why they explain themselves. That's why they go into the details. And so they're protecting their ego. And so whenever the analytic is wrong, and I have analytic inside of me too, speaking to myself, whenever the analytic is wrong, the analytic wants to explain themselves why it's not their fault for being wrong. When the amiable, it feels good or it feels right, caring, the amiable frequency will do because they feel or sense it will work, will bring, and what they mean by work is it doesn't have to be perfect. They honestly, my wife is like this, it doesn't, as long as people are happy. Like it can be chaos, it can lose money, it can do a lot of different things, but as long as people are happy, so we'll bring people together, we'll make people feel good, we'll bring harmony, peace, and goodwill to everyone. The amiable will do, so if they feel that it's going to create conflict, but that's what's necessary to create profit in a company or progress in a project, they won't do because they're afraid it's going to create conflict, and that creates tremendous pain. If the analytic, which is often responsible for the details of the vacation, the details of the project, the details of the company, so they tend to put their brakes on things, they tend to hold things back because they're the ones responsible. Like when something blows up, it's like it's their fault because they missed a detail, or at least that's what they feel. The expressive frequency will do because they feel the energy, the excitement, the passion of taking action and moving things forward. You can see how each one of the 3 of these tend to have challenges as it relates to the bottom line profit of an organization. If it's a business or a nonprofit organization and it's connected back into revenue contribution, because there's a lot of revenue activity that may not be fun. There's a lot of revenue or profit activity that people might not like, or there's a lot of mistakes that need to be made to figure out what is going to work. So all three of these frequencies can have challenges in business as it relates to producing bottom line. Typically, the driver personality, the frequency, will do because they know or feel the power of taking actions, hitting goals, accomplishing things which no one thought could be done. So they get a thrill for doing the impossible. So they don't have to have fun, because fun for them, with 7 kids, I remember things that were fun for me as a dad were not. I'm like, we're having fun. They're like, Dad, this is not fun. So understanding what causes the different personalities in our lives, in our business, in our career, personally and professionally, in every area, it's so important to understand what causes each of the personalities to do. Questions? Thoughts?